Hello everyone and welcome to this video all about what kind of child do you have. Is it an indigo baby, a crystal baby, a starseed, a rainbow baby? And can your child see auras, or have they seen auras in the past, and have they potentially seen spirits? So without further ado, let's talk all about it and see what kind of child you may or already have. So this is my daughter Ava in 2015. She was only a little teeny baby there. And this photo I had pinned up because she was looking past me on this picture. And this one I always have pinned up because I knew then that she was spiritually gifted. And so I wanted to do a little video all about whether you're an indigo child, a crystal child, whether you are a rainbow baby, just like her. And of course I also have star seeds as well, and also talking about auras, why babies can see auras from the day that they're born. And no matter how hard you try, if a baby doesn't like your energy, they're going to tell you about it. So I first and foremost wanted to talk about indigo children. They were born between the 1960s and the 1990s. I am an indigo child, and we are creators of the new world. We are the foundations. Especially I've noticed a lot of indigo children in particular, you've got a lot of sort of Scorpio going on in there. That's just something that I've noticed when I've done charts. If you've got Pluto and Scorpio like myself, you can kind of feel where I'm coming from there. We're the rebellious ones. We are the warriors. We are the ones that make a stand. We are the people that stand up against what we have been bought into. So we are not going to conform to society. We despise the system. We don't like the way that we are taxed. We don't like these wars that are going on in the world. We just don't like the way that the world is and how it is functioning. You know, how people are so mesmerized in front of their TVs instead of becoming activists for freedom. You know, there is this, we can be very stubborn. We can be very free thinking. We like to express our opinions, and people might not necessarily agree with the things that we say, but overall those feelings of as kind of putting ourselves out there can of course lead us into a little bit of hot water. You know, it can get us into trouble, but ultimately we don't care, and we will be the warriors of society. Like I said, the creators of the new world is an indigo child. And also, like with kind of going into crystal children between 2004 and 2008, this kind of time there was kind of like a transition between indigo and crystal. Even though crystal children sort of started between the 1980s and finishing in the 2000s, during that period in particular, those 4 years, there was this massive influx of indigo and crystal children. So if you have a child born between 2004 and 2008, your child is most likely a mixture of both. And what is a crystal child? Well, they're the peacekeepers. So they're like total polar opposites to the indigos. The indigos are the foundation, and they are the ones that sat there going, yes, let's change this world into a free one. Let's get everybody spiritually mindful. Let's get people awake. That is my sole purpose, to wake up the world. And that's where the indigo people sit. The crystal children are the ones, they're the peacemakers. They were born between the 80s and the 2000s. They're strong, and they are just so lovely and affectionate and pure. And these are the people that don't have a bad bone to say about anyone. I know somebody that's a crystal child. As I was writing down these things, I'm going, oh my God, yes, totally opposite to me. But they have this, you might find that they're extremely creative. So like instance, if they do a lot of painting, so they find that, you know, or they do writing, for instance, but their writing is so on point. You know, you might find that they are empathic too, like to the point where they can become extremely emotional with it. I mean, indigo children are empathic too. Let me just kind of stress that every single person born has a level of empathy. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't tune in on their intuition. And unfortunately, it leads into ego-based problems. However, you can be a mix of both, of course, but like I say, these people are very passionate. They're very passionate. I kind of read this somewhere as well. Like, they're very passionate about like UFOs and the phenomena of like the unknown, you know, and that's kind of cool. But they're very laid back too. So there's kind of this mix of both with crystal children. Although they are the peacekeepers of the world, they are the ones that are ultimately on the next level. They're the ones that are sort of kind of taking the indigo children and giving them a big hug and saying, you know, calm down a bit, like. But these are working together, the both of them, they are kind of setting up this new world, which is what we're all experiencing with these spiritual paradigms, these big shifts that we're all experiencing. You can see it in astrology, like I've just had an array of clients that have struggled with Venus being retrograde, and it's been really difficult, for a lot of us. And then we're getting this Venus retrograde, this Mercury retrograde coming in, and people just don't know whether they're coming or going. So it's just kind of something in sort of in the air. But as Indigo Children and the Crystal Children are kind of keeping it in there and not being afraid to speak our minds, and of course being out there and making a difference. Even if it's something simple as a crystal child would find a piece of trash on the floor and put it in the bin, like something that they're the ones that would go into the woods and thinking, how can I make a difference? How can I make a difference on this earth? How can I stop? And it's the same with indigos, of course. How can I stop so much plastic waste? How can I help the sea animals? There's so many different people, but I do see it a lot. Like, say, Crystal Children, I know one in particular that works with animals in a zoo, and they really are making a massive difference because of the empathy that they can it's almost like I call her the animal whisperer. Like, she can just do that. It's just this empathy and this connection, so there is this wonderful foundation base for the indigo and then the crystal. And then we have the rainbow children, which is my generation. For my children, that's their generation, and this is the final stages of this new beautiful enlightened world. So they are born after the millennium, so they're born from 2000 onwards, and they are positive and they're radiating light and happiness. When you have a miscarriage, I've unfortunately suffered one myself, and you have a baby afterwards. Well, my daughter Ava is my rainbow baby because it's light after darkness. And when I heard about the term rainbow baby, I did look it up, and there was these parents, there's this massive community of people that have had children after losses. But when you look at rainbow children as a bigger perspective, these people are unbelievable. And it did make me laugh when I read that they are technologically advanced and they are very easy in understanding things. Like my 3-year-old daughter, she's now 3, she can unlock my phone and she knows my PIN number. And I'm thinking, like, you're 3, how would you know that? It's really frightening. Like, she can go onto YouTube and she can go on to what she wants, and it's just like mind-blowing. And they're very much, rainbow babies are very strong-willed. They know what they want in life. And you see, and me and Lada were talking about this before I made this video. I kind of ran through a few ideas of her about one that I wanted to feature, and Lada and I made a valid point. There are lots of children these days with what people assume are behavior disorders. Hear me out on this. Of course there are behavior disorders, but whenever a child is acting up these days, rather than them just being pains or they're just having a bad day, people say automatically there's something wrong with them. Now, the thing is with rainbow babies, with rainbow children in general, they do have a strong stubbornness about them. There is my daughter, for instance. Oh my gosh, I have a photo album for when she's 18, and there's just pages and pages of her when we go to the supermarket or grocery store, wherever you are in the world, and she wants a candy bar or something, and I say no, and I'm very stubborn in that respect, and she'll throw herself on the floor. And it's a case of like, okay, I'll take a picture of that. And I have just this book of her having meltdowns. Now, people have been in the grocery store with me, and if you're a parent and you feel me on this, let me know in the comment section. And they say, oh, you need to control your child more, or there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with your child, and that hurts. And I'm like, yeah. And first and foremost, I say, yeah, well, she's a double Libra Virgo moon. Like, sorry, like that's just, but. They are very, very loving, beautiful souls, but they are very difficult to rein in. Like, it takes a lot of willpower, and as a mother, it is hard. But they're free spirits, and they are the ones that see the world in such a different way to us. And therefore, you can't really hold back, and you can't really self-contain a rainbow baby. So kind of just looking at this in a whole, like a rainbow child, they love being out in nature. They love caring about animals. They're very empathic as well. You know, they're very sort of on. So if you kind of see that the Indigo Child is kind of this, I don't want to say brutal because that sounds bad, but if they are the ones that are making it happen, like this big spiritual shift. They're making this happen. And like I said, it's kind of coming from the 60s onwards. I'm really sort of fond of the Indigo Child because you can see that these are the spiritual workers. I know a lot of psychic readers. I know people that do what I do, and they all start every time I say, can I ask what year you were born? And it's usually from the 60s onwards. And that's just because we are these indigo people that are pushing forward this spiritual shift. Then, of course, we have the Crystal Children, which are kind of from the 80s to the 2000s. These are the people that are empathic, emotional, creative. They are the ones that are calm, but they're strong and pure-hearted. They have not got a bad bone in their body. And then obviously the final stages of this new spiritual world are the Rainbow Children, and they are born after the millennium onwards. And these are the ones that are they're almost the positive lights. They are the ones that when you see all of these beauties working together, it's just wonderful. But there is another thing that I did read about as well a long time ago when I was actually studying way back when I was doing angel cards, and I did do the realms course with Doreen Virtue. Obviously I don't want to comment about Doreen Virtue now, but that's for another video. But she did mention something about starseeds, and they were another so they're sort of like the way that I can't remember the way she described it actually, but it was almost like I kind of like was like, I feel you. These are the outsiders, and I wrote in my notes a while ago, and I've brought it up to read to you, and they're called the outsiders. They feel like they don't fit in and they're out of this world. They feel like they're here for a mission and don't necessarily conform to society. And I kind of felt like that. So you could almost be a hybrid between a starseed and an indigo or a crystal, you know. But if you kind of feel like that, you may have some starseed in you where you just feel like the black sheep. If you are anything like myself and other clients that I've read for, you kind of feel like you don't fit in with other people. You see all these people being really successful and they're kind of running around doing their thing. They're very popular. And you kind of feel sat there thinking, why am I not popular? Like, why do I not feel good enough for anybody? Like, why do I not feel good enough for society? Why do I feel like I'm better off suited working on my own, or feel like I have no friends, you know? And these are, in fact, they are the starseeds. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. Because if you do feel like the black sheep of the family, or you feel like you don't necessarily fit in, then I can understand you, and therefore you could potentially be a starseed. So it's something for you to go and research, all of you, you know, go away. But where do your children sit? You know, do you feel, you know, when any of my children have been born, I've always looked at their birth charts. I've always seen what kind of person they are, but I always see, as soon as I held I'll give you an example. When I held my son, I went, whoa, he is an empathic child. Like, I could see it radiating out of his aura. All babies I've found from I've held a lot of newborns over the years, from family members to friends to my own, and I've always found that they all carry a different aura, but most and foremost, they're all born with this beautiful white light surrounding them, and it's just purity. And the fact that these babies are just new souls in this world, or experienced souls. My godson, for instance, he's been here before. He's 3 years old and told me about his past life, and he's a Leo child, and he is so empathic, it's ridiculous. It's like talking to it. The way that I talk to him is like talking to an adult. He's so in tune. So if any of you have children like that, you probably are aware that they have been here before. I always said he's sort of a starseed because he's been like here given a mission. But babies see auras, and young children up to the age of 5 do see auras. And I can see them, and I do this in readings all the time. Me and Lada did a video about it a couple of years ago. Now, when a baby's born, you might find that they don't necessarily look straight into your eyes. They kind of look above you or behind you. That is your child, or a child that you are holding in your arms or holding on your lap like this. They are looking, they're weighing you up. And they do. Babies do. And they, frequently look at you because they're reading your auras. Babies do. They can read you like a book, but they can also see their spirit guides. You were all born with a spirit guide or a mentor or angel, if you will. It depends on what your belief is. You were all born with that. Indigo Children is, very self-explanatory. Like in terms of the color, I wouldn't call Indigo Children all an indigo color, because I have met Indigo Children that have turned into adults that have been born with like an orange aura or, a red aura. And I've also found, like, I had a client a long time ago that had just lost their mum. And when their mother died, their aura had a lot of this blue surrounding them, which is an indication of sadness and grief. So I always see it as well. Like, I do have a client that her aura changes and depending on where she is. But we're all sort of born with this base color, should you will. But like I was saying about the babies, when they are kind of weighing you up, if they start crying and you're kind of like, what did I say? And no matter how hard you can try and make them laugh, you go, oh, sort of thing. If they're still crying, they don't like your aura. That's as simple as they're weighing you up. And if they're not comfortable with you, then yeah, they're not going to want to talk to you or be held by you. But I always found one client in particular said that when her son was born, the baby came out crying. Soon as she started holding this baby, the baby looked up and instantly stopped crying. It was like, she said, it's like he saw something. And this is the thing, when we're born, we have got those spiritual gifts, but obviously over time we do forget. And so therefore, my brother, when he was born, he you could always sort of see him talking to the wall. And I was very young and I could see things. And so therefore I knew my brother was blessed too. And even now to this day, he's very empathic. So yeah, you can kind of start to see it. People with their children, you can sort of see whether, I can tell you definitively whether your child is gifted or not. That is something that I do. I do obviously look at a baby's chart, but I also kind of give you a rough idea based on what their aura is and their energy. But of course, it always is a case of we have many children now being born that are healers. We've had this like almost baby boom, I've noticed. Like so many people are having babies, and people are having bigger families too. So there is more of these beautiful millennial children that are coming in, that are these beautiful rainbow babies that are helping the indigos and the crystals and also the star seeds to raise that vibration. But of course, when you do go on to have your own children, but of course, if you have your own children, maybe you're pregnant, when your baby's born, or, should you hold somebody else's child, just pay attention to how their eyes are moving if they're not asleep. Notice how they are looking around. It's like on this picture of my daughter, you can, on her left eye, you can see a white light, and I didn't have the flash on that camera, so I knew she was looking at something amazing. And of course, it was around that time that I knew that my talents were getting bigger and bigger, and that's when I did start working on Lada's channel. But I noticed as well when Lada was pregnant and I did her reading, I noticed that her aura had changed, and that's because she was carrying a child. So when you're pregnant as well, you do change. Like, you do become, of course, a lot more emotional, a lot more tired, but your aura is changing too. Your spiritual level is changing. Remember, you're growing a human also with an aura, and they work in synchronicity. It is beautiful, and that's why the bond between a family is just beautiful. And so it makes a lot of sense, of course, why it just makes a lot of sense with a lot of these new people that are sort of coming in, and these big changes that we're experiencing with our rainbow babies. And of course, with past ones, not everybody believes this, and it's okay. You will get people from older generations saying that's new age, babbling on, and there were a few forum posts that I did read a while ago, and people saying this isn't a load of garbage, blah blah blah. But of course, if anybody does want to read up more on auras, this book in particular, one of my children did draw on it. I do apologize. It's called The Angel Bible, and it's by Hazel Raven. I'm not sponsored for this, but they do have specific pages all about the all about the aura. And I do read this to clients when I do face-to-face readings. People absolutely adore this book because they get to see, for instance, you know, the Blu-ray Archangel Michael. So if you have a blue aura, your focus of life is communication. You're ruled by the throat chakra. And of course, this is all to do with it, even to, you know, to do with the thyroid glands. You know, our auras aren't necessarily just a color, they're linked to the body. The green with Archangel Raphael, this is the element of air and is ruled by the heart chakra. And this sits exactly with mental and physical energy. So there is a lot in this book. It's even got crystals and stuff in it. I really do highly recommend that. That has been my Bible for like years. But also as well, there is so much to learn from this book. Pay attention to your dreams as well, because like dreams is another thing. Children have very vivid dreams, and my son had a dream about he had a dream about me about a year ago. He had this dream that I died, and obviously it was very disturbing for him and very upsetting. But when I tried to sit down and explain to him that it's all about new beginnings and it's the end of something old and the beginning of something new. Children have very, very strong, vivid dreams. But it's the same with him. Like over the years, people say, oh, he's so hyperactive. Maybe he's got ADHD. No, he doesn't. He's just really empathic and he's switched on. He's just a very bright little boy. You know, don't automatically assume there is something wrong with a child because they're having a meltdown in a store. Like that was something me and Lada were speaking about earlier. People are so quick to judge these days, and it's really, really upsetting when I see that. You know, for instance, the work that me and all the readers do that I know, you know, people make fun and they make jibes like, oh yeah, what you do is a load of crap, blah blah blah, or what you do is garbage, you're mentally ill and all of this. Yeah, fair enough, you have your opinions, but that kind of goes without saying. That says something about you. So it's very interesting to see that. I just believe that in life that, you know, we all have a soul mission on this earth, and to be so judgmental of others, especially children that just could potentially just be having an off day, you know, it's best to just not judge and just be compassionate and empathic and empathetic towards the mother or the father that's probably having a really bad day because their kid's stressed. You know, if a child is, I don't know, like just throwing themselves on the floor like my daughter does sometimes, you know, don't be like, oh, she can't control her child. In fact, say, oh, I feel so sorry for her having to deal with that. And even like someone actually offered me help once, like, do you want me to like entertain your child while you do your shopping? I'm like, no, it's fine, but thank you. You know, like the thought, if we're all just there for each other, the world would be a better place. Let's not divide, let's be together. And I wanted to end this note on a positive by just saying, just be there for each other. Don't be judgmental towards others, and just be compassionate. Be who you were born to be, as opposed to being the ego-based one that we're being taught to be. So I hope that makes so much sense. If you guys would like to come and have a reading, if you'd like to know more about auras and what your children may potentially be or already are, then let me know. It's all in the description box below to book a reading. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to make this video for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you like this and you would like me to do an expansion on this video, that would be awesome. And yeah, go and do your research, guys, because it's an awesome subject and it's been an absolute pleasure to speak about it. And thank you to Lada as well for coercing with me just before I did this. Big love to you, as from one mother to another. So thank you very much for watching, and to all the mums and dads out there and the potential parents of the future, peace, and thank you so much for bringing such wonderful young little ones into the world. So take care, love and light, angel blessings, and I'll see you soon. Take care.